What is the most important metric in your Amazon business? If you had to pick one thing to look at out of the midst of plenty of numbers in Amazon space, if you had to pick only one thing, what thing should you as a business owner or stakeholder to pick so you can make right decision how to be successful on Amazon, how to grow? My name is Irene Balurko. I am a partner at Red Rocks E-commerce, where we help brands go from zero to exit on Amazon Marketplace. And make sure that you're going to stay to the end of the video because I'm also going to tell you what is the most important thing to look at in your Amazon business. What I've seen make it or break it over and over. So that is going to be the only thing that will matter for you if you had to pick only one thing to look at. All right. So let's start with what is the most dangerous. The most dangerous metric is because it's the most popular, which makes it the most dangerous. And that is your Amazon gross revenue. Listen, businesses need sales, not a secret. In order to grow, you need sales, you need customers. That's inevitable. That's like putting one foot in front of the other. So I'm not here to say that you should not care about sales, because that would be contradictory to common sense. What I'm telling you is that sales or gross revenue, I'm going to continue using the word sales because that's what it is in Amazon. So your sales is very dangerous because it's so seductive and it's so popular, but I see that trip out over and over business owners as they try to make their way through Amazon. So here's why it's dangerous. So sales, the 90% of the time, brands come to us saying we want more sales. That's the most common thing. That's what we do. We help businesses grow sales. But as we do that, we have to also make sure that we put some other assumptions aside. For example, sales sometimes can be used as a way to address other gaps. There's an expression, sales cover a multitude of sins. And that can be true. That can be true for so many things. But to the point, because we've seen, things, for example, operational gaps trying to be covered with multitude of sins of sales. Operational gaps trying to cover more sales. For example, you can say, well, if you ever catch yourself saying, we just need to get more sales, then we'll be able to fix X, right? So I do that sometimes as well. And sometimes that's just what it is. But I always catch myself thinking, well, or is it perhaps if I fix this, then we'll be able to grow more sales? So we've seen that in areas of fulfillment, in terms of operation, in terms of just overall, sometimes internal management. And the reason I'm saying that, not to say that brands always make mistakes, it's just what we see in practice, right? That's what we see with day to day, and we have to address, and that's where we see the decisions being made where, okay, now we're trying to get more sales so we can address certain business issues, right? We're trying to grow more sales on Amazon instead of fixing business issues so we can grow more sales on Amazon. So sales cover a multitude of sins. That's one. Second, it becomes a pathway, sales goals, wanting to more sales becomes a pathway to creating more operational complexity. Meaning, well, if I want more sales, then I just need to add more products. I need to add more SKUs, right? So I need to expand horizontally instead of going vertically, going deeper, go wider instead of going deeper. Sometimes it's the case. You do need product launches. You do need to bring more excitement to your product lines, right? Not saying that you shouldn't do that. But what happens often that becomes just the catalog management, inventory management, you start spreading your resources, time, money, marketing, people, brain power, and you just start spreading that. So every SKU, every product line gets less and less attention, less money, and so on. So we arrive at less instead of more. Now, in order for us to grow more, certain levels where we hit plateaus, which can be anywhere, we've seen it anywhere as low as 30K a month, and then sometimes can right up to, in 6 figures a month in sales, where it hits a plateau where we have to start really, really get intentional about what are the SKUs that we're supporting, right? What are the SKUs that we're spending advertising on? What are the SKUs that your team is supporting in fulfillment and your production is making, right? So that's where there becomes the case of less is more. And if we have, what does it have to do with sales as goals? Sales is a metric saying because sales is always a moving goalpost. So it's so easy the path to say, well, I just need to do more. It's like me, for example, instead of doing one thing, doing Amazon consulting, Amazon implementation, Amazon strategy, we say, well, let's just add Walmart services. We get asked for that a lot. Let's add Instagram and so on. We get asked for that all the time. And we're not going to do that because mastery doesn't really have limit. And also there is so much potential. There's so much opportunity for us as a business to grow within Amazon space and just become better at what we do and stay focused, at least for now. So that's just my example for my business. But in SKUs, overall SKU management, in Amazon, we see that usually just more SKUs being thrown, and then we start seeing forest through the trees. So there's that. And the last thing on that I'm going to say is, the good old competitive advantage. If your peer, if brand Z is doing X, we should be able to do that. Listen, competitive landscape is important. Competitive landscape is an indicator of opportunity. We all need to have benchmarks. We have that ingrained in us through, zero, right? Where it's certain, 6 months you got to do this, 12 months, this is your benchmark. And that's normal. But where it becomes dangerous is where we try to mimic our path, our own business goal, and then we start almost shifting our own business goals to get what brand X has. We don't know their path. We don't know their journey. Often, for example, typical conversation I've had, a couple of weeks ago with the brand said, well, brand, one of our partner brands said, brand X is doing this much on Amazon. I'm frustrated that we're not doing that. Okay, well, tell me, what do you know about that? How long have you been on Amazon? Well, 4 years. Do you know how much they're spending on marketing? I don't know, but I know they're spending a lot. Do you know what their journey has been so far on Amazon? Well, I know that they said for the first 2 years they had no sales, and then something happened. Probably marketing or something else happened. Maybe external growth and that influenced Amazon and so on. A lot of things can happen. So when we pull things out of context like that, and this is brand has been on Amazon for less than a year, and we have spent zero in marketing, by the way, so it still managed to grow. It's apple to oranges, and it's not really productive. It's not serving to the brand or to us trying to doing our best to be as a partner for both strategy and implementation and execution. So that becomes that comparing yourself to others, and kind of all of a sudden your own business goals becomes this molding to this other brand goals, right? Where sometimes when I look at somebody else and say, oh, I see they got to X and they've said they've done ABC. I wonder if I can pull those ABC elements because they worked for them to grow. Can I use them in my business to grow? So, and sometimes you don't know that. And if you don't, that's okay, right? So it can be helpful, it can be not. So this is where it also becomes dangerous, where we start sales goals chasing other path. All right. So again, not saying the gross revenue, that sales goals is meaningless, because it absolutely is. It's very important. Our own success often is judged in the beginning by sales growth, right? So that is what I want to say again, to say that it's an extremely dangerous metric. It's the most dangerous metric to look at least in Amazon business, but I think probably in any business. And this is I've talked through 3 most common fallacies, right, in thinking and decision making that can actually trip you up instead of helping you grow. All right. Now, let's move to what is the most important metric in your business. And again, this comes from experience of now multiple years. I don't know how many millions in sales we've managed. We are Amazon Advertising Partner Network, so we know enough to be dangerous. So please listen when I say this, because I've seen it make it or break it businesses on Amazon. So your most important metric, if you had to pick only one, it would be your profit offer. Your single profit offer P&L. Single profit offer profit and loss. Amazon product offer P&L. Here's what I mean. You all know, at least you have a concept, right, of profit and loss, even if you don't, if you have accounted in your numbers. And you probably have your single SKU, this is how much I sell it for, this is how much it comes in the end. And of course you have your, fixed costs, your variable costs that start, influence, being built into that number. On Amazon, I don't want to use word single SKU. It's your product offer, because sometimes it is a single SKU. Sometimes a selling unit on Amazon is your multi-pack or your bundle or so on. So your product offer, for example, what you sell on Amazon, it's at $39.99. and you have your standard Amazon commission, 10-15%, depending on the category, then you may have, your FBA fee or your shipping cost if you do merchant fulfilled. So let's say after $39.99, you arrive at, let's say $22, right? Let's just assume there's some heaviness to the product. Great, $22. Then you're going to have your marketing expense. Most likely you're going to have marketing expenses, right? Especially if you're, well, actually I think right now it's really inevitable unless you're super, Kim Kardashian or a brand with, Starbucks or Nikes that are really earned brand equity. So then you have your marketing expense. Hopefully you have been able to break that down by allocation to SKU. If not, comment or go to our website and submit message. Will help you, break down your marketing allocation per SKU. What is that spend? And then you may have some, other smaller fees, let's say storage costs or whatnot, that are kind of we usually spread them out unless there's huge variance in SKUs. You kind of spread it out because they become somewhat nominal. So then after $22, let's say your marketing spend is $7 per that SKU, and you arrive at $15. That is you're going to be your Amazon product offer P&L, right? Of course, you want it to be the higher the better. You want it to be more than cost, right? Of course, it needs to be more than cost. Now, that is the most important number. Now, in the beginning, it may not necessarily be profitable because your marketing kind of outstrips right, or outpaces your revenue. Sometimes, it catches up. It should catch up fairly quickly, but I don't want to say that if you are, it's actually, from day zero, you don't have, well, actually you would have it on day zero, sorry, because you need some time for marketing to be able to build those numbers. So that you want that number to be, of course, more than your cost, and you want that number to be more, you want to grow that number. Now, the challenge here is that number has built-in fixed fees in terms of Amazon commission change will not change. FBA fees, if they do change, they increase. Your shipping costs, it's hard to change. You don't really have control over it. So if that number, if that product offer P&L does not work, then your path to profitability or path to more profitability is going to be, it's not going to be there, basically, right? And then the sales number the revenue becomes kind of a meaningless, right? Because what's the point of business being a business if you're not, in the end of the day, you're not generating profit? So it's important, which is why it's very important to understand that number. But it's also sometimes a little bit hard to deduce that because it requires, this is what we do when brands come to us looking for more profitability. This is the first exercise we start. We'll look at, we take each SKU and we break that down, your retail price on Amazon, your, Amazon fees, other, fees with allocated per that SKU, and then you arrive at your Amazon product offer P&L number. So that is the most important. So because you can't really scale unprofitable. Well, you can if you have private equity, whatnot, but up to a certain point, we know that happens. It usually balloons out, kind of ugly in marketplace. So, but if you don't have that, there's a chances that you're a small business, right? If you're watching our channel, so you're a small business, so you probably are very interested in that number. You're very interested in profitability. So understanding that as early as you can, even if you feel that you are not able to do anything about it, understanding that will give you so much clarity in decision making, other than being seduced by the revenue goal, right? Because we are seduced by those when we see that everywhere, right? It can be nebulous and seductive, and it keeps moving. It's like keeps moving forward. It's never. When is it enough? So that is really the metric that you absolutely have to understand. If you don't know how to arrive at this, like I have no idea what the profitability is, I don't even know how to go about this, then you need to comment here or go to redrocksecommerce.com and send a message, or also subscribe to email our newsletter. I'll put the link on the bottom. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Sorry, I was speaking too fast. We're in the midst of Q4, but I really felt it was important to jump in because we kind of, I've seen some more interactions around that. And also, I think being in a recession, which we're in a recession. Let's just be real, okay? So we're just not feeling it yet. We will in the US very soon, within the next 18 months. So being in a recession, I think the profitability and the cash flow becomes so much more important, right? So I want you to be prepared for that. And if you need help on Amazon, go to redoxecommerce.com. Thank you. Talk soon.